Hello everyone! In this South Korean action movie, a hardened mobster was ready to leave his life of crime behind. However, he gets pulled back in for one final mission. Not for cash, but to save his beloved wife from kidnappers. Get ready for an intense ride with non-stop action. The movie opens up with the typical day for a Korean fish market. Right from the start, we're introduced to the main character, Kang, a muscular guy, and his partner, Chun-sik. The former gangster's new job is ticking along just fine. The shelves are being stocked and the workers are all busy hustling about. Kang and his partner earn their keep and look like they're having a great time doing it. At the end of the shift, Director Khan and his two bodyguards show up at the market. They're hassling one of the vendors about a late payment. They act more like mobsters than businessmen. Kang and his friend are just standing by, watching everything go down without jumping in. His friend grumbles about how the director's been getting stuff for free for ages. Kang, though, doesn't want to make things worse. They both bow respectfully as the man walks past. Out of the blue, Kang gets a call from President Park, who wants to meet right away. He and his partner are on their way to meet President Park and a successful entrepreneur called Lee. They offer the warehouse workers a chance to get into a supposedly profitable business. Both assure them it's a good bet.
배팅하는 총알 회수하는데도 막 석 달, 길어봐야 6개월이면 투자 금액 전부 회수하고 남습니다.
Then he shows the merchandise. It's a king crab, which is just one of 5,000 king crabs they plan to ship to South Korea. Lee and President Park are promising to bring in more giant, high-end seafood for sale. The businessman claims it will bring them a fortune, and each crab could fetch 200,000 to 300,000 won. That's a huge amount for an ex-gangster. The pleased businessman gives Kang the crab as a gift. Kang thinks it's a great investment. Lee also thinks that's a great opportunity. Meanwhile, Kang's wife, Ji-soo, is doing her best to support the family by working 2 jobs. In the evening, the couple gets together to chat about their day. They seem really happy and care for each other in a sweet way, but they work so much that they end up eating their dinner on the way home. Looks like this man with a criminal history has finally settled down and found happiness with his family. Ji-soo wants them to keep living peacefully, so she suggests they use all the money they've saved up to start a new life. Kang doesn't tell her about his investment in the crab scheme, but hints that it could be very profitable. It turns out this isn't his first risky venture. His spouse isn't on board with Kang's idea of making quick money. Kang lies, saying he never planned to do anything like that. The next scene happens at the apartment of a man named Kim. Some goons storm in and try to kill him. The poor guy is saved by his daughter who comes home, but the Mafia and their leader, Ki-tae, ends up kidnapping her. Kim gets a stab wound. The father is left alone and desperate. Ki-tae's car, with Do-sik driving, ends up crashing into Kang's car on the road. The couple is fine. Kang steps out and tries to explain to the driver that he has to call the police. In the back seat, Ki-tae is trying to hide the kidnapped girl from view. The driver casually asks the former gangster to sort things out privately, without going to the court. Kang insists on sticking to the rules, and it's making things pretty tense. Kang is calmly making his case without shouting. Seeing what's going on, Ji-soo jumps in to help. Ki-tae takes an instant interest in her. He sits quietly in the back seat, smoking, as he watches the entire scene unfold. When it looks like Kang is about to call the police, the Mafia boss gets out of the car to handle the situation. Ki-tae gives Ji-soo a few compliments and apologizes to the couple. Kang says he'll handle everything with the insurance and get in touch with them. He isn't accepting any money. The next day, Kang goes to see the director and asks about the overdue payment for the products. He doesn't get as much money as he hoped for. Things aren't looking good for Kang. 1 month later, Kang discusses their crab business with Chun-sik. Suddenly, the conversation is interrupted by a long-awaited phone call. Apparently, the crab shipment is stuck in China. It seems like the two friends' investment has just gone down the drain. On top of that, they're having trouble paying for their housing. Ji-soo learns about this from the bank.
남편분 보증 문제가 아직 해결이 안 되셨네요.
When Kang's wife leaves the bank, someone is watching her. In the evening, the couple meets at a restaurant for a celebration dinner. It's Ji-soo's birthday, but the moods are down. Ji-soo is willing to do anything to make some money, and the divorce should give them a payout. But the former gangster refuses. He insists they'll figure things out. He also mentions his failed crab business. Ji-soo is so angry at him that she loses her cool. On her way home, she doesn't pick up the phone when Kang calls her. She only texts him. Later, she softens a bit. But then something terrible happens. Kang, not knowing that someone broke into their place, rushes home. However, his wife has already been taken by the time he arrives. All he sees at home is chaos. Ki-tae is behind the kidnapping. He's the gangster who crashed into the married couple's car a month ago. Now he and his crew have kidnapped Jisoo and taken her somewhere. The next morning, Kang is sitting in the police station, but the security camera at the crime scene mysteriously went offline right at the moment of the abduction. The only thing left on the footage is a blurry van. The police promise to investigate the case, and the detective says he will call Kang as soon as there's any news. Outside the police station, Kang waits for Chun-sik, who also hasn't been able to find out anything. Suddenly, the desperate man gets a call from the kidnappers. Ki-tae asks Kang to meet him privately and tells him to arrive by 2 p.m. at the place indicated on the business card. The card is attached to the fridge in the ex-gangster's apartment. Kang heads over right away. Chun-sik watches from a car. Kang sits at a reserved table, but no one is there yet. Only a woman's bag and a phone on the table. 40 minutes later, the phone starts ringing. Ki-tae is on the line and tells Kang to open the bag on the chair next to him. Kang is definitely not happy with the deal. He sees Ki-tae getting into a car near the restaurant and decides to chase after him. However, he's made a mistake and caught the wrong person. Kang goes to the police, but they only listen to him half-heartedly and pocket the money. The detectives keep giving him the runaround, and it's been 2 days since the kidnapping.
일단 조금만 더 기다려 보시죠. 저희가 다른 특이 사항 있으면 바로 연락드리겠습니다.
Kang sees a lot of missing girls' photos at the precinct and decides to take matters into his own hands. His investigation needs funding, so that evening, he goes to visit the director who owes him money. With no understanding coming from the other side, the ex-gangster has no choice but to act decisively. He easily deals with the director's whole team. Not even the strongest of his henchmen can stand up to Kang's furious onslaught. After getting his hard-earned cash, Chun-sik and Kang go to visit an old friend who now works as a private investigator.
진짜 이번 일 잘 해결해주면 내가 여기서 5% 떼줄게.
Kang hands over all of his cash, and Chun-sik adds some of his crab business share to sweeten the deal. The investigator agrees and immediately shows his skills by finding the first clues.
얘인 거 같은데? 맞네. 찾았다.
Kang, the private detective, and Chun-sik make their way to the address. They find a pretty nice house, but after the ex-gangster goes in, it turns out that neither the wife nor the kidnappers are there.
넌 돈 500에 네 명의를 팔아넘기냐?
돈이 필요했어요. 빚은 못 갚아도 새끼들 밥.
The group learns some key details about where people drop off their license plates for the Mafia. At the parking lot, they're suddenly greeted and led into the storage areas. The passage leads them into an underground casino. After a while, a well-dressed lady in a white suit comes out to meet Kang and his companions. This secret spot is where all sorts of shady deals are handled. The lady in charge refuses to answer any questions and thinks they're cops. The detective tries to take care of the guards but fails, so Kang steps in and causes his signature havoc. So the lady boss can't say no to them and gives them some answers. Unfortunately, this is still just a small part of the entire puzzle.
매번 2달이나 3달에 한 번씩 번호판이랑 로레지파 한 장씩 싣고서 장생포에서 넘긴다니까요?
She hands Kang a business card with the contact details of the suspected kidnappers. The men head to the address listed on the card. Before they leave, Chun-sik fills the detective in on Kang's criminal background. However, once they arrive, they face another setback.
가기는 맞는데요. 저희 사장님 바뀐 지 꽤 됐거든요. 이거 재작년에 돌리던 명함 같은데.
Feeling desperate, Kang walks outside and notices a guy helping 3 barely dressed women out of a minivan. He thinks the driver might be tied to his wife, so he checks the van and quickly sees that his guess was correct. He remembers seeing this guy on the day Jisoo went missing. Kang waits for the thug to come back and tries to talk to him. The man isn't really interested in chatting, so Kang decides it's time to act. This doesn't really work. Then he gets a call from the precinct asking him to identify a body that matches the description of Jisoo.
지수 아니에요.
Kang feels a sense of relief when he sees that the dead woman isn't his wife. He overhears some information about the body and shares it with the private investigator, who finds an additional lead.
이은정 남편. 이 남자가 얼마 전에 이제 자수를 하겠다고 경찰서에 나타났어.
Kang arranges a meeting with the murdered woman's husband to hear his side of the story. Kite also came up in the conversation, as he had made a similar financial offer to the guy. The poor guy's wife was in a coma, and the media made a report about him. That's how Kite found his next victim.
아픈 마누라 팔아서.
The desperate man accepted the offer. As they part ways, he hands Kang the results of his search for his wife. The former gangster finds a business card in the folder that looks just like the one he got from Kite when the villain's car crashed into his trunk. Everything adds up. Just then, Kang hears a loud bang. Kang arrives at the office at the given address and immediately runs into a familiar face inside. Kite's driver is sitting at the table. Kang is giving him one intense interrogation, but the visit from the furious husband didn't go unnoticed. This didn't stop Kang from taking the clerk to his hideout to carry on their pleasant conversation in a more comfortable setting.
아니지 않아? 어? 사람을 이렇게까지 매달아 놓고 이건 무슨 말을 할 거야? 뭐 흐른다.
Just then, Kang's phone goes off, and it's Kite calling. Kite orders Kang to kill his driver. If Kang refuses, the Mafia boss threatens to kill his wife. Kang has to follow his order. Kite then tells Kang to get back his money, promising that he'll return Jisoo in exchange. Then he hangs up the phone. However, the clever former gangster was able to trick the extortionist. Soon, the scoundrel wakes up and reveals to Kang the whole scheme with the trafficking of cute Korean girls. For them, women are just merchandise. The system of abduction and ransom has been running like a well-oiled machine for some time now. The driver says that no one bothers to look for their daughter or wife after the kidnapping. He finds it amusing. He has a rough idea of where Kite might be, but the gang keeps moving around. The detective suggests breaking into the police station and stealing the money. He says he'll take care of the details. Meanwhile, we see where Kang's wife is being held. The place feels like a bizarre blend of a hotel and an abandoned mental hospital. Jisoo and the other girls are in constant danger there. They get beaten and are forced to sleep on the floor. The three friends use a clever trick to sneak into the police station and then into an accounting office. Chun-sik plays the role of a subordinate to the so-called chief prosecutor.
근데 무슨 일로?
아니 증거품 확인 때문에 나왔어요?
At one point, they were very close to being busted. They were asked to show their IDs and wait for the detective in charge of the case. Then Kang decides to intervene. The diversion works perfectly. It only takes a couple of seconds for them to get out of the building. Together with Kang, they leave the parking lot in front of the property. The money is now in the trio's hands, but they need to move quickly. Meanwhile, Kite punishes the thug who beat up Jisoo so harshly. Because to him, people are just merchandise, and it's harder to sell damaged goods. Kang's wife is unconscious. The scene is interrupted by a phone call. On the other end, Kang proposes a meeting to hand over the cash. But Kite isn't planning to play by the rules.
여기 싹 다 정리해서 철수하고 그 새끼 돈 받으면 그냥 둘 다 죽여.
네.
The station erupts into chaos with the cops in a frenzy over the break-in and stolen evidence. Realizing Kang is behind it, the detective gives him a call. Kang answers in a desperate, clipped tone.
제 아내만 찾고 죄값 치르겠습니다.
Jisoo is no timid damsel in distress and makes an attempt to break free with her new friend. When she regains consciousness, she spots a window. At the last moment, Jisoo slips out of the window onto the ledge and jumps. She survives and runs off towards the woods. As Jisoo slips out of sight, Kite and his bodyguard walk into the room.
이게 어떻게...
The escaped prisoner makes her way to the road, but her kidnappers catch up with her. As Kite continues his search, Kang and his two friends show up at the place where the kidnapped women are kept. The door is locked, but nothing can stop the former gangster. Kang goes inside.
사장 어딨어?
He checks the security cameras and spots a room with some girls in it. He rushes over there, taking out the guards on his way. Kang shows up at the place Kite had called him from and finds the boss's bodyguard waiting for him. The battle takes a little more time than expected, but it doesn't end well for the goon. Meanwhile, Chun-sik and the private detective watch as the guards try to move the girls. The element of surprise really works in their favor, and so does the stick. While the two are busy freeing the illegal harem, Kang continues his crusade through what turns out to be an abandoned resort, according to a sign. The last thug nearly takes Kang out, but Kang pulls off a fancy move. Then he finishes the fight with a classic punch. When Kang reaches the place where Jisoo is kept, he sees that the window grill is bent and realizes that his wife has escaped. He quickly leaves the base as he watches the criminals being arrested. By the time Kang leaves the station, his partners show up. They do a much better job sticking to their cover story this time than they did at the station before.
아니 나 저 중앙지검에 이검사라고 하거든요.
The cops fall for it, and the two make their escape. Kang sees a familiar face as he's driving away from the base. This is where the chase begins, but you can't get far backing your car up. Ki-tae and his driver quickly turn around and try to make a getaway. Kang keeps chasing after them. The Mafia boss decides to play dirty and shows Jisoo's face through the side window. She's out cold from the medication. Kang knows he has to be smart about this to keep his wife safe. He speeds past Ki-tae's vehicle. In the end, he swerves to stop the car with Jisoo from hitting the barrier, but he himself ends up going off the road. Ki-tae survives, but his driver passes out. The Mafia boss tumbles out onto the road and runs towards Kang's car with an axe. Finally, Kang catches the Mafia boss, gives him a good beating, and then tosses him out of the car. Ki-tae ends up collapsing from the beating, but Kang just can't stop. Once his opponent can no longer talk, he goes to the car where his wife is still passed out. She doesn't wake up straight away, but when she does, she tears up with joy and hugs Kang tightly. The movie wraps up with a news segment announcing that a gang involved in abducting women has been taken down. The next report means a lot for Kang and Chun-sik.
중국 당국은 대화 선원들은 물론 대바코에 실린 킹크랩 8톤 전부를 돌려보냈다고 밝혔습니다.
The ship with their crabs finally arrives at its destination. Kang's dream comes true, and now he and Jisoo are rich and powerful. The married couple came to a big crab restaurant. Kang became their supplier, and as the saying goes, they lived happily ever after. It's hard to believe, but the entire movie was filmed in just under 3 months. Check out the name of the movie in the description below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified and catch more great content from us. Before we wrap up, let us know which movie about former criminals made the biggest impression on you.